Got some exciting news. Noah Basketball is our new presenting sponsor of our Coaching You podcast. Noah Basketball is a shot tracking and data company that has helped change how coaches and players perfect the game's most important skill, shooting. Noah is a data service provider that uses machine learning and the latest computer vision technology to provide real-time data and feedback to improve shooting accuracy and consistency for professional and amateur basketball players. Noah has now analyzed over 570 million shots from countless high school, hundreds of college teams, and 28 NBA franchises. The technology is simply amazing. Once this system is installed, players will be able to get immediate feedback on their shooting arc, left, right, position, depth, make, miss, etc., and puts the results in the hands of your players and coaches with the Hoops by Noah app. For more information about how Noah can help your team, visit noahbasketball.com. Hey, welcome to another Coaching You podcast with the coach and his best buddy, BJ Armstrong, back from Berlin, Germany, from the EuroLeague Final Four. BJ, welcome home, my brother.
Hey, thanks, Coach. It's great to be here. Great to be amongst my family, my extended family. You guys got your Coaching You shirts. I'm not dressed. I didn't get the memo.
You know what though? We have gifts. We have gifts for you. We ordered.
Oh, nice.
We do. We ordered some gifts for you. This is new product and stuff.
I
Zach
see.
has
It's
on new
looking
stuff.
good. You guys are looking
white
sharp.
hoodie. We've got a black hoodie. Great, yeah, man.
And we have for you too. Yes. So
Oh,
We got to get you out of those lines threads.
Coaching.
yeah. Nothing wrong with mine. Hey, tell our listeners. I know you had a great time in Berlin. Tell us about the EuroLeague Final Four. I know you were excited when we spoke when you were over there.
Yeah.
On
So
Saturday.
was able to go see the EuroLeague Final Four, and it was just great. It's always great to see a different brand of basketball. So to be able to see the NBA game and then the collegiate game, high school games, and then all of a sudden you see EuroLeague. And you can see the different brands of basketball, but more importantly, the coaching was, just different. How they coach, how they play the game, and in addition to seeing the EuroLeague Final Four, I was able to watch the EuroLeague Under-18 Championship, sponsored by Adidas. That was over there, so that was great. Saw some great young talent, some great young players, and again, you get to see different brands, different philosophies, different coaching techniques. So it was great to be around that environment there in Berlin. We had great food. You made fun of me. I had Italian food in Berlin, but it was good, and really had a nice day and a good time.
And most people have Wiener Schnitzel and Spätzle and things like that. My man goes there and acts like he's in Brentwood or someplace in LA having a beautiful Italian food. But there's nothing like European food, though, right? European food is phenomenal.
You can't go wrong. That's I was just a guess.
Yeah, but where did you find Scottie Pippen? Where'd you find him?
You know what? Okay, so here's my Scottie Pippen story.
Scott.
I'm in at the Uber Arena there in Berlin, and a colleague of mine, one of our agents, actually from Serbia, he goes, "Hey man, I just saw your teammate here." I go, "It's like midday, like we're watching the Under-18 championships." And he goes, "Yeah, I saw Scotty at Five Guys hamburger spot." I was like, okay, I know I go to Germany to get Italian, but I certainly don't go to Germany to get Five Guys. No disrespect to Five Guys, but they were at a hamburger spot. And I was like, Scotty's not here. I was like, why would Scottie Pippen be here midday eating a burger in the middle of like, so he goes, man, I'm telling you, it was Scottie Pippen. So he kept saying it. I kind of ignored it. I was like, yeah, whatever. And he goes, man, I'm telling you, it's Scotty. So I was like, all right, I'm going to see. So I walked like literally 3 blocks because I couldn't believe that Scotty would be in the middle of Germany, middle of Berlin, like midday at a burger place. So I walk up to the restaurant. I go, where's Scotty? He goes, he's inside. I was like, I'm not walking inside to a hamburger place and then walk in and walk out. He goes, I'm telling you. And I walk in and it's Scotty.
How about that?
And it was Scott. It was great. So
he was happy to see you. Yeah.
Oh God, I was so happy to see him. It was so unexpected. So we embraced. We're hanging out, and then he introduced me to the people. It was like literally 15 or 20 people there eating a burger, and he was hosting. I don't know what they were doing, but it was great to see him. So we chatted for about 15 minutes, man. And then I was finally like, "Hey, man, go eat your burger," just hang out. And then so it was good to see Scotty. It was good to see him there. And then I saw him at the actual game later on that evening. So it was good. So I felt like I felt right at home seeing him. So it was really good.
Yeah, watching on TV, he and Giannis sat together for 2 games.
Oh. I wish we could coach those 2 players.
Yeah, it would be pretty good, wouldn't he? Woo, man, we could run some good ball plays for those guys. I'll tell you. But the coaching in the pro league in Europe is so different.
Yes.
Whereas the NBA guys, the only thing the NBA coaches only yell at referees. They never yell at their own players. The European coaches will yell at their players. They'll yell at the referees. They're very demonstrative.
They're yelling at fans. They're yelling at everyone.
I mean, it's a wild scene,
Right.
There's fights in the crowd. I mean, and
there was literally a brawl.
Yeah.
In outside of the arena at the game. So it was just pandemonium the whole time.
Yeah, it's fabulous. And I was telling Zach earlier today. The last time I went to the EuroLeague Final Four, your teammate, Tony Ronzoni, was there scouting, and we got to spend a lot of time, and he is one of the real experts on the EuroLeague basketball, as you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the playoffs, BJ. We saw tonight, Dallas lose at home to Minnesota. We saw the Celtics clinch last night against the Pacers. Thoughts on the 2 series that you I know you missed a couple of the Pacer games, but thoughts about that you have on the playoffs right now as we're in the conference finals.
Well, it's been kind of interesting, both of these finals, talking about starting with the East. Even though I think I was commenting here on a podcast recently that this has been the most highly contested sweep I think I've seen in a while. I mean, they lost, 0-4, talking about the Pacers, but they were really highly contested games. And those games were all very close. And despite the injuries to key players, talking about Halliburton in particular for the Indiana Pacers, those were they were close. They were like went right down to the wire. Even in the 4th game, I mean, it was a shot here, a shot there. So, I have to give the Pacers credit. They competed, they played hard, but just the Celtics were just too much in the end. They executed down the stretch, unlike some games before where they let these games kind of slip away. So give the Celtics credit, but I thought they were very contested, especially in the Eastern Conference. And then here tonight, you can see the Minnesota Timberwolves down 0-3, and they pull one out at the end today. So to send the series back to Minnesota, and you and I were just, taping earlier, and, they have a chance. Now they have to go home. They've lost, 2 games there already in Minnesota. I mean, in Minnesota in this series thus far. So I think they're due to get a win there. So I think it's they should be feeling good about going home, but it's a long road ahead of them. They got to win 3 straight in order to advance and go to the NBA Finals.
They lost at home I thought they played very poorly in game one. They lost by 3.
Right.
And then again, I didn't think they played well and lost by 1. So if they just play, what they're capable of, they should at least send it back, for game 6 to Dallas, which makes it interesting because if Dallas happens to lose that game, because now the pressure shifts to Dallas because they must win or else they have to go to Minnesota for game 7. You and I have been in those playoffs where all of a sudden the mental part starts to creep in.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting. Two, I want your reaction as a championship NBA player where you played with the greatest player of all time and Michael Jordan. You were his backcourt partner. And, and then you had arguably another of the best wings in the history of basketball and Scottie Pippen. And first, let's talk about Anthony Edwards. At 22 years old, they anointed him during the Denver series almost as the next Michael. Tremendous pressure to put on the kid. And it seemed to affect him where he had 4 very poor games in a row. Your thoughts on how one young man like that has to handle the pressure of, you can never be the next Michael Jordan, certainly at 22, but how do you think, and it's not, he didn't say anything. It's all the experts, I call them, the pundits that are anointing him. What advice would you give him, or if you were involved with him at all?
Well, it's one thing, you can't skip steps on your journey. Okay, that's the first thing. And as I'm watching, this young man play, Anthony Edwards, who's a phenomenal talent. I mean, I think you would agree he is a phenomenal, phenomenal talent. This young man, he stays healthy, knock on wood. He's got an incredible future ahead of him. However, there's different levels to this game, right? There's the regular season, there's the postseason, there's championship caliber basketball, which he's playing right now. And then there's the NBA finals, okay, which is another game. Well, he's passing he's past the regular season. He's past the playoffs, and we saw flashes. No doubt about it. However, there's a different level. And what you're seeing here now is that he's seeing something he hasn't seen before. And it's taken him literally 4 games to kind of adjust to this championship caliber level. And I don't care who you are in this league has a way of humbling you. And as our good friend Chuck Daly would say, you never trust happiness. Okay. And he should have been feeling good about himself. If he didn't, he's younger. He's like 22. This is great. This is easy. I'm just kind of coasting to this. And then all of a sudden, they give him an example of what championship caliber basketball looks like. And he just wasn't able to do what he normally could do just based on his physical gifts. And that's what you saw. But to his credit, I thought tonight he was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to take on this challenge, that's one thing I always like about him is he shows up. And so he's going to be fine. We can't ever forget that, your Pistons beat Michael Jordan a few times before he figured it out. So let's not forget this. Let's not forget that, you got to fall down to get back up. This league has a way of humbling everyone. And so this is part of the process. But I tell you what, he was great tonight. I have every reason to believe he should be better tomorrow at home or the next day at home when they play again. But we'll see. I mean, there's a learning curve. At 22, if you say he could get to the conference finals and play in game 5, game 6, he's doing something right. So I'm not concerned about him. But you could see that some of these coaches, and in particular, I want to give a shout out to Coach Jason Kidd. I think he has been sensational in what he's done in this series thus far to get them into position. They're up 3-1 with the chance to go to the NBA Finals. And Jason Kidd has been there. Okay, as a player, he's been there. I think he can rely on his experience as a player. And, Kyrie Irving, that's a huge help. Okay. Of having a guy who's been there. And of course, Luka is going to be Luka. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, Anthony Edwards really did some great things here. And, but, there's levels. I'm not concerned about Anthony Edwards at all because he's a competitor, but it's going to take him time to figure this out.
Stan Van Gundy on the broadcast early in the series, again, started to pontificate that Kyrie and Luka, the greatest backcourt ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, for guys that have never won a championship, a little too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, a heck of a backcourt, but there doesn't always have to be a best.
You had a couple. Listen, you had a couple guys that you coach. Isaiah and Joe. I mean,
they were okay till I got them. They were okay.
I mean, think about this. I mean, if I remember correctly, both of those guys were like Finals MVP, right? I mean, has that ever happened? I think about things like that when you say that. I was like, those guys were pretty good, Earl of Pearl and Frazier. They were okay, right? They were okay. When you start saying greatest ever and all of these things, come on, you got to do something. You got to do something. Let's get a championship or two before we start doing that, right?
Exactly.
Listen. Luka is phenomenal, right? I mean, Luka is Kyrie, but I mean, this is their first time in the playoffs.
last year they didn't qualify, right?
Yeah, they won what? They won a few games in the playoffs this year. I mean, come on, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But look, 3 or 4 championships, and they're still doing it. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's have that discussion. But right now, I think they're trying to find their way. I think this has been an experiment that has gone very well for them. I can't recall a team making midseason trades and it just working out. I'm just amazed that PJ Washington and Gafford has fit in. Kyrie Irving everyone was counting him out last year, and all of a sudden now this year he's like a media darling. So this has all worked out well. Everything has been terrific. It's going their way. But to say greatest of all time, I'm skeptical of who's saying this and why they're saying it. What's the agenda here? And but I'm not taking away anything for those guys. If they get a couple championships under the belt, okay, I'm ready to have that discussion, but I'm not ready to have it right now.
Exactly. We're thrilled to have our longtime partners and friends at Dr. Dish Basketball on board as sponsors of the Coaching You podcast. Dr. Dish machines are undoubtedly the most user-friendly and advanced machines in the world of basketball today. Dr. Dish has completely revolutionized and reimagined the shooting machine to provide the best solution on the market. Join top programs around the world like Duke, North Carolina, Florida, and countless others and upgrade your shooting machine to Dr. Dish. Dr. Dish machines are the best way to increase purposeful reps in your program to get players better, faster, while tracking progress along the way. Dr. Dish provides so much more than just your standard shooting machines with custom training, pro trainers, and coaches on demand, real-time and detailed analytics, and top-of-the-line drills and workouts. If you're looking to take your program to the next level, look no further than Dr. Dish for the best basketball training machine in the world. If you have an old machine that's just collecting dust in your gym, did you know that you can trade that in to Dr. Dish for up to $1,500 off and get a new dish? Make sure to give our friends at Dr. Dish a follow at Dr. Dish B-Ball on Twitter and Instagram for great daily drills, workouts, tips, and inspiration. Or contact us at drdishbasketball.com. Don't forget to mention Coaching You or our podcast for $300 off your purchase. Coaches, are you looking to take your game preparation to the next level? Then Fast Model Sports is the perfect coaching software for you. With FastDraw, build an organized library of plays and drills and create professional playbooks to share with your players and staff. You can also download over 9,500 free plays and drills from our Playbank directly to your FastDraw account. Looking for a better way to build your scouting reports and want to include video? With FastScout, build custom scouting report templates to prepare your team best for each individual opponent. Plus, did you know with the latest updates from Fast Model Sports, you can now include video with your FastScout reports and share with your coaches and staff all within the FastScout mobile app. The combination of Fast Draw and Fast Scout is by far the best way for you and your coaches to create winning game strategies and effectively communicate them to your team. Over 10,000 high school and youth coaches trust Fast Model Sports products to help their teams reach their goals. To order, go to fastmodelsports.com. Use code COACHINGU15 to get 15% off any Fast Draw or Fast Scout products. Remember, go to fastmodelsports.com. Use code COACHINGU15 to get 15% off any Fast Draw and Fast Scout products. Tell me now, you have the draft on June 27th and 28th, 2-day draft for the first time ever.
Yeah, I think it's the 26th and 27th. Hopefully, is it 26th and 27th?
I think it's. I thought it's Thursday, Friday, the 27th and 28th.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yep.
I was wrong once. I'm trying to remember.
Hey, you've never been wrong, Coach.
I think it's 27.
It's whenever you want it. The draft is whenever you want it.
I just want you to get your ass to Brooklyn and be there for that draft. But I'll get you a good Italian restaurant there. And so you have a really good player in the draft, Isaiah Collier, and it's really a hard draft to predict where guys are going right now. And stuff like that. Tell me what your feelings are of him, just of him as a player, as a young man. He's a really young kid.
Yeah, well, I tell you this: the thing that's amazing about him is when I look at his size. Right, he's every bit of. I'm just going to be conservative. He's every bit 6'3.5", 6'4" guard, and he's literally 210 pounds as a point guard. He's literally a lead guard. Speed, quickness, size, strength, check. Okay, he has all of that. He's got the handle. He can finish. He can get to the cup. And you would love him, Coach, because he's ready to play a screen role right now. Okay, so he has all the physical tools to play in a game right now and match up at his size with any guard in the league. Now, obviously, the experience of when you say guards in this league and today, let's take a look at them. You got Ja Morant. You got De'Aaron Fox, you got Damian Lillard, you got Steph Curry. Okay, there's going to be a learning curve here. Kyrie Irving, there's going to be a learning curve. But let me tell you this. He can do something right now. Okay, that's the thing that I love about. Right now, he will be able to pose his own problems based on his physical ability from day one. I mean, he is a big guard. I love big guards. And he has the ability to literally just physically he'll overwhelm you, and he will overwhelm some of these guards right now. That he'll do that day one. Now, he is without question a lead guard, which I love. Like he's not a guard that has to learn the position. No, he can play that position and he can manage a game. So he'll fit right in. Now, there's things he'll have to learn: the spacing on the floor, managing a 48-minute game, getting, shots, doing all those things, which will come. That's just game experience. But I love the fact that he will be able to match up and he will be able to play at the pace of an NBA game from day one. So I think this kid has a real chance. I'm really excited to see him. I'm really excited for him to get his career started because he's one of those guys, Coach, that loves to play. Like, he's just biting at the bit every single day to get out there and play. He wants to play, and I can't wait till he starts getting out there. So I think it's going to be fascinating because there's not at the top of the draft, there isn't that consensus number 1, number 2, or number 3 pick. So I think it's going to be a fascinating draft. If you ask me what it reminds me of, that Anthony Bennett draft where there really wasn't a consensus. Good call. But there are a lot of really good players, and Isaiah Collier is right at the top. I think when it's all said and done, because I always I always tell all my clients every year who are in the draft, I don't care, who's the best player, you know, in the draft. I want to be the best player after the draft. I think Isaiah
Mm,
Collier can be the best player when this is all said and done. I feel
wow.
that highly about him because of how the NBA is played. It's played downhill. He thrives in that. I think the spacing of the NBA game will be good for him, and he can play through contact, as you know, which is an art.
Yeah.
It's a talent all into itself. Luka, Luka's ability to play through contact. I don't know if you can teach someone that. Luka's so big, he's so strong, but for a guard in his rookie campaign will be over 200 pounds at 6'4" with this type of speed and quickness, it will be. It's a good physical attribute to have that size.
The most important thing I think we've discussed is that the fit of the
Yes,
team he goes with, as it is with
right,
every single player. You can almost chronicle every great player in the league. Isaiah, I remember, told me, he could have been the number one pick in the draft and going to Dallas. They were an expansion team, but he refused to go. And his friend Mark Aguirre ended up going there. And Isaiah went to the Pistons because he wanted to play in Detroit, even though they were a very bad team. But that fit him. And I
right,
think that happens, and Michael being the third pick in the draft, the greatest player of all time is the third pick in the draft.
right.
And so, as I always say, kids get upset. Well, I want to be this. All I tell them is relax. Kobe Bryant was picked 13th,
Right,
you know,
right, right,
so
right.
I'm excited to see where he goes and what team's lucky
Yeah,
enough to put him in their, system.
as a as a kid, I always say it's an incredible blessing to play in this league,
Hmm.
and when you start, when you're young and you say these things like, oh man, well, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go there. It just always gives me, like, as a kid, I just wanted an opportunity to play. Like, I didn't care where I played. I just wanted to play. So, I always believe this, and it's always good to be naive, to keep some naivete about yourself or some innocence about yourself. Is like, you know what? If you're a player, you'll find your way. And I always believe that the team that's supposed to draft you, or you're going to get there. You may not get there at draft night, but you're going to eventually get there. So, but for him, I will say this: I think he is a starter. He's a starting guard in this league. There's some guys where you think there'll be a rotational player. Some guys, I think he has a chance, Coach, to be a starting lead guard in this league and be one of those top three guys of the
Wow.
way. I really feel that strongly about his talent, because he has a sense of himself, and he has a sense of the team. He has a sense, and you know what I like about him. I love young people who've been through something, and the adversity that he went through this past season at USC
Right.
showed me a lot about
Hmm.
him and his character. And I like people who can go through something and then come out on the other side. So I'm fascinated about who he could be and where he's going to be, because it hasn't been like just an easy road for him. And he's shown that he has what I term, he's got some basketball character with him,
Yeah.
and he's got some toughness with him. So I love that. I love that about young people who show me a little toughness, because you gotta have a little toughness to win in this league. And he has a lot of that. So I'm really looking forward to his career. And as you know, I love guards, and whoever gets him, they're going to get a guard who can play screen roll right away.
That's,
Coach, he knows how to play screen roll. If you had him, you'd run horns right, horns left, side screen roll. This guy, and he's a willing passer. So
yeah.
I'm excited for him with that size to be able to just see how he's gonna fit into this new NBA, where it seems like that's the only play that you run these days is
Yeah.
screen roll. So I think he has a real chance.
Well, when you're with him tomorrow, when you're working him out, uh, I'd like you to ask him two questions. Would he
Okay.
like to be a world champion? Of course, he'll say yes. And then, um, and then, would he like to be as good and have a successful career as you did in the NBA? It's a fair question, I think. And I think he would say humbly, "I'd love that." And then you can also tell him that you were the 18th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of your dear friends and another guy I coached was the great Joe Dumars, the 18th pick in the draft, who is a Hall of Famer and a champion.
Yeah.
So it's the right fit, not the number you go. Yeah.
It is. Like I said, it really is. Very rarely do any player that comes in this league, there's just what I term a standalone player. It doesn't matter where they go. They're just going to be great.
I agree.
Okay. Very rarely does that player show up. Wembanyama, for instance, showed up. And that's why we can all say, wow, it doesn't matter. Because this guy, he's going to be whoever he's supposed to, because he has that much talent. And we've seen players with that much talent. Okay. We've seen a few of those guys. We've been lucky that you've coached against them. I've played against some of them. And they're just like incredible, incredible players. Most of us, we got to get to the right place. And if we get to the right place, we can be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that is our goal here, is to get him to the right place where he's supposed to be. When I think of players like that, I think of Chauncey Billups. It took Chauncey 4 or 5 stops along his journey to get to the right place. But when he got to the right place, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay?
But he was the 4th pick in the draft by the Celtics, and it was a complete flop.
That's what I'm saying. It's
with the Celtics.
Yes. And sometimes that you don't get to your right place. Coach, there's been some really good players where they just didn't get there in their career. Right. But when you get there, you cherish that moment and you cherish that opportunity because, I was lucky. I got to Chicago and that was just the right place for me
at the right time.
On day one at the right time. It is. And so I know how lucky it takes, but you work hard for it. And you show up and you give it your best shot. But hopefully for him, his agent and he's got to do the work, can get him to this right place because I think someone's going to get a really good player.
I'm not worried about his agent. I'm worried about the damn GMs that have to pick. That's what I'm worried about. That's me saying that. That's Brendan saying that. I'm worried about the GMs that are picking players. That's what I'm worried about. Because I don't need a job in the league, so I can say that. Hey, when we go to Vegas, I know you always you're a big Coaching You person, and you love our clinic and everything. But our front office school on the 15th and 16th of July. You're kind enough again to speak, and we really think that for guys that don't want to coach, and the art of representing players and stuff has become a huge business now. And you're going to speak out there regarding, give us an idea of a couple of things that are important. A, why do you represent players? And B, what's the most important thing in representing a player? Just as a little tease for those people.
Over the years and I've had phenomenal mentors like yourself, and I would always ask why I do something, like why did I choose to play basketball? I just loved it, right? And why did I choose to try to play professionally? Because I just loved it. Why did I become an agent? And I realized after talking to you and many other people that you're of service to others. You're of service to allow people to share in this love for the game. I mean, you and I talk, I don't know, a minimum of 2 hours every day about the game. And I look forward to our conversations. I look forward to learning from you. I look forward to our discussions. I look forward to when you're teaching me and you're sharing things. I just love the game and I love to be around it. So why do I do it? Is to be of service to others. And I love to see young people grow. I love people to have an opportunity to reach their dreams. I love to take potential off of people. Like I want to take potential off of your name. That's like, I love to see people say, okay, he could be, but then that's who he is. So that's like my favorite thing, to see a young person become the person that they're supposed to be. One of the things, the most important thing that I've learned over the years, especially with the age of today's athlete, is you better have a relationship with this young person. A relationship is the most important thing. And part of the relationship is being able to listen to that young person. So listening has been probably the most important skill I've acquired over the years, is to listen to others, listen to these young people and allow them to express themselves. I was very lucky to play for you, and you always ask my opinion. Hey, BJ, what do you think about this? And I remember when coming there, when I first came in there, and you asked me a very important question. Do I have permission to tell you the truth? And that was a very empowering thing. Like all of a sudden, I felt that you were listening to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is different. You're not just talking to me and telling me what's going on. You actually value what I think." And that was very empowering to a young person. And I was very impressionable. And I was looking to just, I had little confidence, but that just gave me all the confidence that it really mattered. So for me to deal with young people and be able to have a relationship and let them know that I'm listening to them empowers them. And, as I go through this draft process, I've been doing this for a long time, but I always ask my clients, what do you think? Like, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want your career to go? Like, what do you want this to look like? And, sometimes they just stop and think and be like, do you really care? I was like, yeah, I care. What do you think about this? Do you want to work out for this team or not? And so because it matters when you see young people take responsibility for something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important when they hold themselves accountable. And then when you get young people that do that, man, you just see them take off. So, I think, you were one of the first people to make me realize that you're coaching, whether you want to accept that responsibility or not. You're always coaching. You're always teaching. You're always, you're either learning or you're teaching. So I just try to go out there and help these young people. But being of service is important to me. And so that's why I do it.
I think you have a very unfair competitive advantage with other agents because of your playing ability. I think it's so unfair because you know what it's like now, and then they don't. And you know what it's like to not start. You know what it's like to start. You know what it's like to handle pressure. You know what it's like to be coached hard. You know what it's like to win, and you know what it's like to lose. You can really, whereas other people just guess. I think it's a great advantage that you have and be able to teach your guys like that. So I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it. I think you'll be fabulous.
I'm really looking forward to it, but I look for it every year because I learn so much. And, I'm really, more than anything over the last couple of years, I've really taken an interest into amateur basketball.
Yeah.
Because of how young the players are coming into our league now, that I feel like I have to know what's their foundation to be able to help them. So, I've really taken a huge interest into amateur basketball. You can see all the different things happening now at the collegiate level, where there's NIL and collectives and all of these things. You see these young players now coming over from abroad or international players. I mean, when you think of the top 5 players now at first team All NBA, 4 of them are international players. I mean,
Crazy.
think about that, Coach. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's important now that I begin as an agent, and I've always, watched the international game, but even more so now because of the competitive spirit of the international player. I mean, these are the best players in the world. The last 6 or 7 MVPs of our league have been international players now.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly it's an international game. And I've taken an interest to see what's going on with our game domestically and why aren't we producing these level of players that can compete at that level. So that's been my kind of my little, I got my eye there to figure out what we can do to keep this thing moving forward. Because I can tell you this, watching those young players over there, because it's so fresh in my memory right now, there's some really good players in the international game right now. And they got some star caliber players waiting, okay? That's better than the players that are currently playing right now, okay, as prospects. I'm not saying they will their careers,
Sure,
but as prospects, I mean, they are star players. So it's only going to get more competitive. But I think here in the United States, domestically, I think we have to take that serious and figure out what we're going to do, because I think the rest of the world is not only caught up, in some ways they've passed us now. So
Europe has a great club system. And now with the advent of the African player coming to Europe, and now getting good coaching, formalized training,
right.
It's become a huge advantage. Now, if you have some African kids mixed in with French kids, white French kids, their level goes up. And I think it's really
Coach, it's really fascinating to watch the game, to watch the level of play. But I'm gonna tell you, the talent. I mean, it's a real talented players all around.
And the coaching's
the world right
good now over in Europe.
The coaching is excellent. I mean, they're running coach. I mean, I don't even know if I was 16 or 17 and I was even capable of running these sophisticated
it's way advanced
sets.
from our stuff.
It's very advanced in how they play, their system, their passing, their technique. So it's interesting to watch the game, how it's evolved. But I can tell you this, the coaching there is excellent, and the players there are excellent, and they're just getting better and better.
A lot of Coaching U Plus people over in Europe buying our app.
Yes, they should be. And
they
we should be doing
tremendous
the same.
Learners. They're tremendous learners.
And I'm going to tell you, and we should be doing the same, because I can tell you it works. It works.
Yeah. Well, hey, I know it's late at night, but you know what? I'll talk to you in about 4 hours when you get up and get ready to drive to LA. But brother, thanks so much for doing this.
Okay.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing you guys soon in Vegas. And we'll have some good meals, a lot of laughs, and I'm sure we'll be sharing some stories.
Why don't we go to an Italian restaurant in Vegas?
Hey, Zach, Coach always has some party to go to, and he's trying to drag us along.
You know what? We're going to Carbone's.
Okay, Carbone's.
Yeah. Bring your credit card. This is on Wasserman.
Sounds good. Definitely will do.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Appreciate all right, you guys. Be good. Yep.